Now we're going to talk about how we find the area of a triangle using trigonometry. Now I know in previous years, in the younger year groups, you used to use the formula half the base times the height. Now in the HSC, you could still potentially use that formula, maybe, but usually they're going to get you to use this one here, where you're using trig. So the formula is area equals half AB sine capital C. Now, in between each of these is a little invisible multiplication symbol. So they're all being times together. And our little letters represent our sides and the capital letters represent our angles. So here we've got a question, we've got two sides and an angle. Now, sometimes you'll be given a question where we have additional information. It might be that this side is, I'm just going to make it up, let's say it's 152. I don't know, there's no way it's going to equal that, but anyway, when it comes to using this formula, you need to make sure that you're labeling your sides correctly, because this side down here is not going to be used. You're only going to be using the side, the angle in between, and then the other side. You don't use this one down here, so I'm just going to rub that off. This here is going to be your A or B. This one's going to be your A or B. This angle here would be your capital C, which would mean that this side down here is little c, and little c isn't used in our formula at all. So let's put these numbers into our formula after we've labelled our letters. So let's call this one little a, let's call this one little b, and this here is capital C, which would mean this side over here is little c. But we're not using that at all, so I don't really need to label it. But if I want to take this step further, this one here is capital A, this one here is capital B, but there's no information at capital B, little c, or capital A, so I don't really need to label those, but I'm just doing it because I love labeling stuff. All right, now we're going to put these values into our formula. I'm going to get these out of the way though, because you know, they're taking up space. So, area equals half times little a, which is 22, times little b, which is 43, times sine capital C is 109. Okay, we type it into our best friend, our calculator, and it'll do the work for us. So half times 22 times 43 times sine 109, make sure our bracket is closed, and we get area equals 447.2302 blah 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 blah. I like rounding to two decimal places unless the question says otherwise. So in this case, those guys drop off. So it would just be 447.23. Now, if it has units written in your question, you are expected to put units in your answer. Say these were, let's say they were kilometres. That means that this here would be kilometres squared. Squared telling us that it is the area on the inside. Okay, let's try one backwards. All right, so these are metres on the outside. I'm given the area on the inside, and I know that it's an area because my answer is squared, is what's written on the inside. But what I don't have is a value for my angle. So we're using the same formula. So I'm just going to rewrite the formula just in case we haven't turned our head slightly to the left to see it up there. Area equals half times little a times little b times sine capital C. All right. Now I'll just write area so you don't accidentally think that it's capital A that I'm talking about. Now let's label our sides. I've got a little a, I've got a little b, I've got a capital C. I don't have anything down here, but I do have an area. Okay, now we're going to put those numbers into our formula. So instead of writing the word area or a capital A, I'm going to put the value for area, so 466 is equal to half times A, which is 28, times B, which is 35, times sine. Now I can either write theta or I could write capital C, which is, I'm just going to write theta because that's what it's called in here. All right, so now in my calculator, I'm going to type in this. Because I can't type in sine theta yet. I don't have a number there. So half times 28 times 35. So that's 490. So I've got 466 equals 490 times sine theta. Okay, now I want to try and get this 490 over to the other side. So I'm going to divide both sides by 490. Divide by 490. And that will cancel those. So now I've got 466 over 490 is equal to sine theta. Okay, now remembering back to when we did the sine rule, or even back to when we did right angle trig, anytime you're looking for an angle on the inside of a triangle, you're going to use inverse. So we click a special button on our calculator, we click shift up here. So I'm running out of space, so let's do it over here. I'm going to click shift and then sine, and that will give me sine with a little -1. Then I type in to my brackets my fraction, so 466 over 490. Type that in and I get shift sine 466 over 490, close bracket, and I get theta is equal to 71.9933 blah blah blah, rounding to 2 decimal places. They get dropped off because 3 rounds down. So theta is equal to 71.99 degrees. So that's how big that angle is up here. All right, cool. So key things to remember. Firstly, you got to know the formula. You have to know the formula. If you don't have it memorized, you need to be able to locate it on the formula sheet that you get given in the HSC because they're not labeled. You've got to know what this is. Okay, first thing. Second thing, you need to make sure that you label your triangle properly. You can only use the angle that's directly between the 2 sides that you're talking about. I couldn't be using this angle down here. I can't use this side, and this angle. Has to be the angle in the center of the 2 sides. Next thing to remember is if you're trying to find it in reverse and you're trying to find the angle, you've got to click shift first. Okay, and that's what you need to know. Thanks for watching.